how do you prioritize and limit work in progress in your queue? So, bit of a tricky one because it's an it depends kind of situation. Limiting your work in progress is, pretty much what it says. Reducing the number of things you're doing at any one time and trying to balance the flow. So if you have a WIP limit of 3, so a work in progress limit of 3, you'll have 3 items in that stage and you can't add another one until one of them's moved on. So you'll always have that maximum of 3 things. And if something gets blocked, well, tough, get it unblocked. We don't send things backwards, it will stay in that stage, and it is a sign for the team to work out how to unblock it, because that way they're going to be better going forward. Now, how do you decide on those limits? As I said, it's kind of an it depends. Many teams that I work with will turn around and go, well, we've got 6 developers, so it should be 6. And okay, but what about if something does get blocked and it can't easily be unblocked? Do you need some more? You need to consider that. So if you've got 6, do you need 7? Okay. And also on the flip side, is 6 too many? Because it's not bringing in collaboration. It's not requiring the team to collaborate at all. So what I actually work with is n-1. So if I have 6 developers, my rule of thumb, it's very much my rule of thumb, is start with 5. Start with 1 less than the number of developers you've got. That will give you some capacity to deal with blocking issues. Okay, so that will give you some ability to have something that is stuck there for a while and still flow work through, while not have individual members of the team working on their own stuff, because that's likely not a team if that's all they ever do. And I'd be very surprised in your iteration or within your team's work if everything is so straightforward as it can all be done, one person, one task. Okay? The likelihood is some of that work is going to require more than one person, so why not accept that and reduce the number so that everybody's actively involved. You might have a little bit of capacity to deal with those blocked issues that are taking longer. Okay? And as you start, step 1, work out how to work with that reduced capacity, with that reduced ability to put work into progress. It's going to take a little while, but once you've got it, you're likely going to be better at delivering because you're going to focus on those blockers, because you're going to focus on collaborating. Okay? And actually, within a few months, most of the teams that I've worked with over the years have reduced that number further. And it might be n-2, n-3. That really is a it depends situation, because your team is going to learn that actually they do better when they collaborate. Things go faster. There's always that stuff where one person, one task is the right answer, but much of what we do, it needs those interactions. Good old individuals and interactions coming back into play. We need people working together to solve the harder problems. So let's not give them somewhere to hide, so to speak. Let's get them so that you want to work on something, you work on something somebody else is already working on. Okay? So setting your WIP limit is more art than science in my experience, but find a good starting place, okay, and inspect and adapt. So how do we prioritize the work going in? Well, it's no different to how do we prioritize any other work in our work. What is going to give you the best value today? Right? It's an ongoing process. When we're talking about WIP limits, you're very often talking about the Kanban world rather than the Scrum world, though they're absolutely applicable inside the Scrum world as well. Okay? So you've got a continuous prioritization going on. You're ordering constantly for delivery, which means that tomorrow, the thing that's most important may be different to the thing today. And that's okay, because when a slot in your WIP limit becomes available, you're just going to pull the next most important thing in. So the art here is working with your product owner, your business person, whoever it is who determines what order that work's being done in, okay, to ensure it. And there's many, many ways you can prioritize. But what I really do look for teams to do is get clear on whatever way they use. Get it written down. You know, specification by example is actually a really good way of explaining how you prioritize. So sit down and say, given this situation, this is the priority order. Given this situation, this is the priority order. Okay? Because many of these things can actually be put through a spreadsheet. Okay? One of the things that I advise many product owners to do anyway is work out what are the business drivers, what matters to this product. Okay? And for any item going into the backlog, consider it against all those business drivers. Is it more important to that one and less important to that one? Okay. And pay attention to today in terms of product strategy, in terms of business strategy, what's more important. So it might be all about revenue generation, and therefore the things getting prioritized have a high impact on revenue generation. Okay. And that's a good thing because that's working towards the strategy. And if something changes, your backlog order shifts to meet the new strategy. Okay. It's really hard to give concrete examples without looking at your backlog. But what we want to do is work with our product owners and our business people, our sponsors, our stakeholders, whoever they are, to help them understand what are the levers they have for prioritization, for ordering of the work, okay? And help them understand when to pull the right ones. So in terms of prioritization, what we want to do is ensure that our small capacity within that WIP limit is only stuffed with the most important things today, the things working towards what's important to the product and the business today. Tomorrow it might change. Okay? And to get that right and get that, make sure that you're able to articulate it well, I actually prefer to build some sort of model, a simple spreadsheet that explains this item is at this point because this is the answer. You know, it's a 13 in revenue generation, it's only a 5 in customer satisfaction, and I'm all about revenue generation. At the moment, that's the goal. So it's bubbled to the top. Therefore, it's the next thing to go into the team's delivery. So what we have here are two different things, prioritization and WIP limits, that play nicely together. Okay? The WIP is about smoothing the team's work out, making them predictable, making them consistent, okay? Keeping them focused on what matters. And that includes unblocking the things because the stuff they're working on is the highest priority. So unblocking it is important work. Okay? And then the prioritization feeding that capacity, making sure that they are taking in the most important things. And one of the things I love about the more fluid approaches is every day your business priority can change, and this accepts it, it honors that, which means that tomorrow when we finish some work, the next most important thing may be different to what it would have been today, but we're always working on the most important thing for our product, for our customer. If you've got to this point in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, a like would be appreciated. If you want to hear more from me, more answers to questions that maybe you've got in the Agile world, please subscribe to the channel. And if you've got a question that you really want answered, drop it in the comments. I promise we'll get around to it. Thank you.